What's up, guys? Mike here, head trader at Tree Trading Group on June 27th. Closing the day out here. We still have about an hour and 15 minutes to go before the close, but I think I'm probably wrapping it up today. Green on the day. Just two trades for me today, both in CETX. And really just today's video is almost kind of a follow-up to my video from yesterday. The video from yesterday, if you haven't seen it, go back, check it out. It's all about patience. And I had a lot of patience today in CETX. My first trade was a losing trade, actually, but it was only on a tier 1 position. If you guys aren't familiar, tier 1 is just 25% of my desired size. So let's say I wanted to buy 10,000 shares. Tier 1 would just be 2,500 shares. Okay, it's kind of a feeler. It's just a starter position, just to kind of test the waters a little bit, because I think I might see something. And then once you get confirmation that what you think you see is correct, that's when you add up to your full-size position. So I took a loss in the tier 1, managed the risk pretty good, kept the risk tight and small. So I took a small loss in that first trade. And then I came back with a full-size trade later on in the day, and I caught a pretty nice pop. What I'm going to talk to you guys about here, a couple of lessons, and this again talks about kind of the follow-up lessons yesterday. Yesterday we talked a lot about volume analysis on a break through the high of the day. There's some of that in this video as well on helping me re-enter the trade for the second time. There's a lot that has to do with volume and that previous high day, so we're going to cover that. And then the other part is my conservative trading kind of mindset, my conservative style, in the sense of I don't chase stocks. Okay, there's a difference between conservative and aggressive trading. I've covered this before. It has nothing to do with position size. I trade with large size. I'm still a conservative trader. Conservative traders, for the most part, guys, try to buy stocks on pullbacks into support levels, versus aggressive traders, they like to buy breakouts through resistance. And I was very patient with my entry this morning on CETX, and it caused me to miss a huge move. That's one of the downfalls of being a conservative trader. One of the cons is that waiting for pullbacks into support is going to cause you to miss some moves sometimes. Okay, you will miss moves sometimes if you are a conservative style trader. Okay, but being conservative will help you keep your risk small on your entry points, because when you buy into pullbacks into support, you're buying closer to your potential stop loss, because you're buying closer to the support level than if you were buying the breakthrough resistance. You buy the breakthrough resistance, the pro to that is that you may never miss a move, but the con is you're going to be taking on much greater risk, and your losing trades will tend to be larger because you're buying so far away from the support level. So you're buying so far away from your potential stop loss. So there's give and takes, pros and cons of both strategies, guys. I'm a conservative style trader, so I'm perfectly okay understanding that, waiting for my setups, waiting for my entry points. And if a stock does not give me that opportunity, then I have to let it go, and I'm okay with letting it go, because what do I also know? That if a stock is truly strong, I'm going to get more than one crack at it. You guys have probably heard me say that a lot of times. This video is really just kind of a refresher on a lot of other things that we've talked about in the past. So let's just kind of get right to it. We'll get to the charts and talk about CETX. So you guys can see CETX here early in the morning. Pops up on everybody's radar, this huge, big push right off the opening bell, good volume. And I was a little bit late to the party on this one. When this thing popped off and went off on my scanner, I was looking at some other things. I was looking at the SPY. I was looking at Beyond Meat. There was a couple of other setups that I had eyes on. I was looking at NVAX. There was a few other stocks I was paying attention to. So I was a little slow pulling this stock up, because the first buying opportunity could have been right there on a pullback into the 38.2 Fibonacci level and VWAP. Could have been the first entry point, but I was a little slow pulling the stock up, so I didn't get that as a possible entry point. But what I did notice was I noticed that area of support. I noticed that big strong tail right at those two key support levels, 38.2 Fib and VWAP, and I said, okay, this is going to be my buying zone. I'm looking for a pullback into this area, put in a little bit of possible, put in like a little bit of a bull flag pattern, was what I was looking for, finding support down in this range, and I was trying to get long right around that level. Okay, but as you can see, we never got another pullback down into this zone, and I just simply wasn't comfortable getting long, okay, up here. I wasn't comfortable getting long up there because I knew that I had to risk back down to this 280, 275 area, so I wasn't comfortable getting long all the way up at like 330. So this is an example where my conservative style, okay, caused me to miss this big move. So this is an example where chasing the stock would have worked. Okay, if I chased the stock up somewhere in here, I would have gotten paid handsomely on it. But if I chase the stock up there and that breakout fails, I'm getting crushed. Okay, so it's part of the give and take of a conservative style trader. I was trying to get long right in here. You can see we never pulled back in. I never got a fill, and the stock went off. It took off without me, and I'm perfectly okay with that, guys, because it didn't give me my setup. It didn't give me my entry point, what I'm looking for, what I'm comfortable with, and I wasn't comfortable with the risk chasing this higher, so I just had to let it go. Okay, I just had to let it go. These styles, guys, some conservative style, it's not going to be the best every time. An aggressive style, not going to be the best every time. It all depends on the trade. You got to play the percentages, you got to play the numbers, and you got to play what works for you. I'm not going to change my rules just because of one stock. Okay, you've got to stick to it. You got to be consistent. It's like they tell you when you're playing blackjack, if you're going to hit on 16, you got to hit every time. If you're going to stay on 16, you got to stay every time. When you try to start flip-flopping back and forth is when you can kind of spin yourself around in circles, and I feel like that's really similar to when it comes to trading. If you're going to be conservative all the time and be okay missing a move sometimes. If you're going to be aggressive all the time, but then you got to be okay when you take that big hit once in a while. I would much rather be conservative and miss out on making money than I would be aggressive and lose. Like the con to being a conservative trader is that you're going to miss some moves sometimes, meaning you're going to miss out on making money, but you're not going to lose any money. Okay, you're going to have much more controlled risk. Aggressive traders have less controlled risk. They take on higher risk, but the chances of them missing a move is low. But I would much rather, when the strategy doesn't work, I'd rather not make than lose. And that's why I'm a conservative trader versus an aggressive trader. So that was the first missed opportunity, and that's just a little talk about conservative versus aggressive. Now let's get to my actual first entry, my first entry attempt on this. We finally had our first pullback. Okay, here was our first pullback on CETX. Okay, we pulled in where? Right down into the 38.2 Fibonacci level and VWAP, and it became support again. Remember, all the way back here, the 38.2 Fib and VWAP was support. So when I saw support there again, I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take a tier 1 entry point. Okay, I'm taking a tier 1 entry right here. I'll add to this position if we continue higher, and I'm looking for a continuation squeeze because there was plenty of room on CETX up to $6 for the 200-day moving average. Okay, take you guys to my trade announcements. My computer screen froze a little bit here, guys. Bear with me. I'm not sure what's going on. This has been happening to me a little bit lately. All right, here we guys go. Here's my trade announcements. You guys can see at 10:23 a.m. long tier 1 at 441 with a stop loss at 380. I'm going to add tier 2 through 460. We never got through 460, and I sold out of the tier 1 at 380. Okay, so a tier 1 loss. So I took a loss on the first trade, but it was only tier 1, so it was small size. So I really didn't get hurt on the trade too much. Okay, then now let's pan this out, and now let's get to the second entry point. My second entry point, guys, okay, was again a tier 1 entry. Right here, and I'm long the tier 1 here, guys, because you see this big red engulfing candle that takes us right down into that initial morning high, and this lines up with a 50 Fibonacci level, and we stuck that support level real nice. Here comes the volume lesson a little bit, a little add-on to what we talked about yesterday's video, is look how strong the volume was when we broke through the initial morning high. Real strong, steady, consistently increasing volume when the stock opened up and had this big push. Always remember that the heavier and the stronger and the more consistent the volume is on a break through the high of the day, the greater the chance of this previous high acting as support. That was excellent volume. So on this quick flush pullback, I said, okay, now the initial morning high lines up with the 50 Fibonacci level. We've got that real strong volume, so chances of support kicking in there are high. So when we bounced up off this level, I said, you know what? This is a great spot to take a tier 1. I'll risk this tier 1 right below that initial morning high, and if we break back up above this little previous resistance area, I'll add to a full-size position. I'll look for a squeeze to new highs, and that's exactly what we got. Here's my trade announcements, guys. At 11:41 a.m., I took a tier 1 at 381, stop loss 345, and I'm adding tier 2 through that 450 area. Okay, so here we are. There's that entry point. And then here is the tier 2 add. And then we get this nice explosive move right up through the high of the day. And we start peeling off the table, taking some profits. I'll take you guys back to my trade announcements. First take profit was in front of the high of the day at 480. Second take profit was through the high of the day at 520. Okay, so through the high of the day. So the first take profit was right in here. Second take profit right here. Well, here, let me make this a square because that's an entry, not an profit. So tier 1, tier 2, first take profit, second take profit, and then I sold out the last piece of the position, guys, right here when we broke down there right below VWAP. I sold out of the last piece of the position. You guys can see sold out remaining at 399. Okay, so I took a little bit of a loss on this last piece at 399 because of the add, because when I added up there near 450. But still, real nice profit along the way from 381, okay, all the way up here to a 520 on the bulk of my position. The reason why I sold the bulk of my position right there, guys, a lot of other traders would get very excited at this point. Oh my God, new high of the day. That's it. We're gonna go. We're gonna run higher. We're gonna run higher. Not me. I sold the bulk of my position right on that move, and the reason for that, it's important we discuss the reason for me selling the bulk of my position right there when we made a new high of the day. Because we broke out during lunchtime. I hate lunchtime breakouts. They tend to fail more often than not. The reason is because volume is typically lighter during lunchtime. It's very, very difficult for a stock that had the kind of morning that CETX had to break through highs during lunchtime and sustain that momentum for the rest of the day. It's very difficult. Not to say it never happens, but it's very difficult. So when I was like my initial game plan when I entered this tier 1 position here was I just wanted this to stay above, okay, this 350 area, the initial morning high. I just wanted this to trade sideways throughout lunchtime and then break out coming out of lunch around 2:30. Then I probably hold on to the bulk of my position and I look for a squeeze up to $6 right where that 200-day moving average is on the daily. But that's not what happened. We went right there during lunchtime, right at noon. So this is a failed lunchtime breakout, guys. And you can see the stock breaks the high of the day and then completely fails and pulls all the way back down, back to that support level. And that's when I decided to bail and exit on that trade. And you can see we really haven't done much ever since. It's 3 o'clock on the button right now. It's 3 p.m. As I'm making this video. So we'll see what happens here. If we stay above 350, maybe you get a little squeeze candle like right before the close. You got to see if this 350 level can hang in there. Okay, you got to see if it can hang in there. But you just got some consolidation in here for the last 2 hours. So, but that's the reason why I sold the bulk at 520. I didn't get excited. I didn't buy more. I'm taking profits up there because of the lunchtime breakout. So it's important. Always remember and take notice of the time of day. Because, like I said, a stock that's as strong as CETX was in the morning, had that much momentum, very difficult to keep that momentum up if it makes another break during lunch. I would have much rather seen it consolidate and then break out at 2:30 because then it's a lot easier to sustain that momentum into the close, okay, and not fail like you saw it fail during lunchtime. All right, good stuff today, guys. Pretty good week in here. I'll see you guys in chat tomorrow. We'll close out the week. Take care.